Morning.
A new one.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Morning. Welcome to the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners Special Meeting Budget and Finance Committee of the Whole, November 2nd, 2022. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Mr. Milburn, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call board members, please. Michelle?
Snyder.
Here.
Keller.
Here.
Russo. Melvin.
Here.
Milburn.
Here.
Okay. Approval of the agenda, please. Item 4.
Mr. Chair. Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Milburn, seconded by Commissioner Russo to approve the agenda. Any further discussion from any commissioner at this time in regards to the agenda? Hearing or seeing none, roll call.
Melvin.
Yes.
Muckenthaler.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Russo. Milburn.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item number 5. Any public comment in regards to the agenda, please? Anybody out there, Andy? Julie Darden, in regards to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there you go. In regards to the agenda, Julie?
Absolutely.
Can't hear you,
It
Julie.
is, sorry. It
This
is in
regards to the agenda?
it is in regard to the agenda.
Okay, go ahead. You got 5 minutes, okay?
Thank you. I have been working along with my staff on the millage campaign. I've met with Jody and learned about the proposed cuts and the plans, and I am absolutely in complete understanding of where the county's position is. And still, my job is to advocate on behalf of Michigan State University Extension and our programs. And so my comment is that cuts that to MSU Extension that would end our contract would fundamentally shift the programs and support that we can offer. I think it's important for not only the people who are in the room, but also the people who are on Zoom or who may be listening to this later, to understand that it would change the way our office operates and the services that we can provide in Roscommon County. And our base assessment, the amount that's in the paperwork is absolutely correct for what our costs are currently in the budget, around $86,000. But in addition to that, our base assessment, as a part of that total amount, would help us maintain a footprint in the county. And that amount is $46,923. So I would ask respectfully that be considered an amount for the cut, that we cut to that amount. I understand also at the same time that your recommendation may be to still go forward with ending the contract so that you're prepared for whatever the outcome of the vote is next Tuesday. But like I said, my job is to advocate for extension. We offer programs for youth and adults. We offer information, and we have relationships with counties all over the state. So absolutely understand the realities of being extension as a non-mandated service, a desired and valuable service that provides research and education in communities, but also a service that is not legally required to be supported. So I just want to offer my appreciation to all of you for the difficult work that you are doing, and the difficult decisions that you have to make. And I think you can understand that even though I am advocating, I bear you all no ill will over the decisions that you have to make. I know it's a challenging task before you. I wish you the best of luck. And I would hope that moving forward, there could be a way that we could maintain a partnership that we have with Roscommon County. We certainly value it, and we value the work that we can all do together. And with that, I say, Have a good morning, and thank you so much.
Just one comment, Julie. Did you give me that figure again? 46,923. Did I write that down correctly?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right,
Yes.
thank you. All right,
Yep.
thank you for your comments. All right,
Thank you.
any other public comment in regards to agenda items, please? Okay, hearing or seeing none. Item 6, new business. Roscommon County 2023 budget. I'm gonna take the lead on this. You've all got a list there that's got the proposed 2023 budget motions. I'd like to run down that list again. Just the intent is hopefully that we can solidify some things so we can actually move these motions that we agreed to today forward for next Wednesday's meeting in regards to the budgeting process. So item A, move to institute a halt in all funding. And this is something that David and myself as budget and finance, and with the help of Jody, we've looked down, and these are motions that have come forth places that we can possibly come up with some cuts, unfortunately. So A is moved to institute a halt in all funding unit hiring activity effective with the adoption of the 2023 fiscal year-end budget for Roscommon County in order to provide for a reassessment of long-term financial stability, estimated budget reduction of $53,581.66. Item B, move to eliminate one full-time day maintenance position effective December 31st, 2022, estimated budget reduction of $59,737.67. Item C, move to discontinue the Sting unit, and that particular one right there, we were able to identify some extra income and move some things around, and the sheriff took a look at the cost of that, so we will be able to eliminate and keep Sting. So we could take number C can be taken off the list if everybody's okay with that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Can we have a little bit of discussion on this one here?
Sure.
Okay, in thinking about this, we have a tobacco tax. There's a tax on tobacco products sold in Roscommon County. We get money from the state for the tobacco tax. There's a tax on alcohol sold in Roscommon County, and we get tax money back for the alcohol. And both of those revenue sources are directed towards the substance use disorder group to fund programs for, stop smoking, stop, the alcohol abuse. So now we have a new revenue source, relatively, the cannabis tax. I think that we should earmark a large portion of that revenue source to the sheriff's department and Sting, because with tobacco sales and alcohol sales, there are strains on the resources, strains on the social fabric of the county, because there is abuse of tobacco products and there is abuse of alcohol, and there more than likely is abuse of cannabis. And also, all of these drugs are so-called, they call them like gateway drugs, that some people use these as an entrance to other things like methamphetamines and opioids and stuff like that. And so for the long-term health of the county, I recommend that, just like we've done with the alcohol and the tobacco tax, that we earmark some of this revenue source to help offset the expenses to the sheriff's department and the county.
In other words, take that money and put it towards the general fund budget, because the Sting is in the general fund budget.
Right, and
But it's good. I'm not saying anything one way or the other. I think it's something to look at. I don't know if we can use that money that way or not. I don't know.
You can use the money any way you want to. Right now, it is a general revenue that comes in. A sidebar argument to that, and I have court people here, is that my courts prosecute those people. So why shouldn't they be able to offset their expenses with that funding? So it is the way that that money comes in is because we have a facility in Roscommon County, we get a portion of that because we didn't block facilities basically, because the Board of Commissioners chose to leave it up to the township. But that is what you're here to decide today. But essentially that means that you're kind of changing the budget again, which is okay, but then I'll need to give you some more questions. So when you make decisions, let me know and I will let you know what questions I have left to balance.
So at this point, you know, I'm looking at C would be eliminated, we'd be able to keep Sting. So, I mean, it's not to say that we can't look at what Ken's talking about as far as revenue, but I believe that revenue is already going into the general fund.
Right, this isn't an immediate change, this is just something that I've been thinking about, you
Okay.
know, that, you know, we
All
have
right.
these
No, it's a good
taxes
Good
that are
idea.
earmarked because they do cause expenses in the community, and we divert that tax money. We don't take it into the, well, it must come into the general fund, right, Jody? The alcohol and liquor tax?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, the alcohol and liquor tax comes in and then we give it right out again. Half of it goes to mental health and then the other half of that is allocated to the Northern Michigan regional entity. So,
Right.
Well, you know, at some point, we made a conscious decision to divert or to take this revenue that came into the county and put it into programs. And I'm just saying, you know, maybe we should take a look at taking this new tax and kind of earmark it so that we can maintain these programs.
Yep, well, good point. I just wanted to make sure, but at the same time, is everybody in agreement with eliminating C from the budget motions?
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I don't, like I say, we're here for discussion today. Okay, D, move to discontinue membership in Huron Pines for a budget reduction of $100. Item E, move to discontinue annual partnership with Michigan State University Extension 4-H Gypsy Moth Program oversight and other related activities effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget reduction $82,687. I'm reluctant about that one too, but unfortunately it's going to have to stay. But it is good to find out that we could possibly look at going from the 82,687 to 46,923, but that's something we can look at in the meantime. So, but at this point, it's going to have to stay on. Okay. F, move to discontinue general fund grant matching fund for the following seasonal patrols: Marine, ORV, and snowmobile. Estimated budget reduction of $44,679.04. Okay, stop me if you guys got anything. Okay. B, move to eliminate funding for the 13th corrections officer's position effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget reduction $64,519.44.
this is the one that sheriff and his jail administrator have made cuts between the sheriff administration budget and the jail to continue to fund the 13th corrector position. So this is one that he has actually made those determinations for to keep in his budget. So
With that being said, Mr. Chair, could I ask a recommendation to remove G from the,
Okay, so through other reductions, he's been able to make that adjustment, correct?
yes, sir?
Okay, so we're going to eliminate G, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everybody on board? Okay. Thank you. Okay, H, move to reduce the full-time emergency management director position to a part-time position effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget reduction $39,100. Through different adjustments and looking at the budget, that's been able to be, that one will be eliminated. H would be eliminated also from the budget motions. Are you okay with that? Make my notes here, people. I move to eliminate the annual allocation of the Crawford Roscommon Soil Conservation for Funding Support and Household Hazardous Waste Program effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget reduction of $23,000.
We have to.
That has to be eliminated, correct?
One question I would have, Mr. Chair, and to the board, is it possible for us to ask the townships to kick in more money to keep?
You could take a lead on that, Mark, if you want to go to all the townships,
I don't know if hitting all the townships.
but they have to pay 100% of it.
That's what I'm looking at.
They do pay a portion right now. They do pay a portion already.
To all kick in. I'll get with Jody after the meeting, gentlemen of the board, and, well, I'm not gonna get with Jody after the meeting. Bottom line is, out of the 11 townships, I would hope that we could come up with enough money to be able to continue that service. It's very much needed, as I mentioned last time. We don't want people dropping stuff off in the woods and
That,
streams and forests.
so for the time being, that's gonna have to stay in there to get this budget done on time. But that is something that can be worked on by the commissioners next year,
Yes, sir.
because your next emergency management or your hazardous waste program doesn't kick in until, I believe, Memorial Weekend. So I do know, just to answer that, the townships do kick in money now. All of them do. Now, you also got to remember, you're talking about large townships and then you're talking about some real small townships too. So
It's gotta
I
be-
just throwing it out there, all right? So anyway, I stays, correct?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. J, move to reduce the Blodgett Memorial Airport annual allocation to $46,056 for the fiscal year 2023. Recommendation is that stays.
Yep.
Okay, move to eliminate the Roscommon housing program, including director position effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget savings $64,000. That's actually a budget saving of $94,000.
You know, I sit on that committee, I chair it, and I hate to say it, it's a beautiful thing we do for the county, but we just can't afford it.
So that K, the amount changes to $94,070.23. We did find an error in that last week for $30,000, which actually helped the rest of the budget. So it doesn't help save the department, but
94, what was the number?
$94,070.23. $30,000 even difference, okay? Okay, would stay.
On that, what about all of the outstanding loans and stuff like that?
They would still come into the county. The treasurer,
Have to,
has to go on the treasurer at that point.
Right. Correct. Hate to say that, but correct.
You know,
Okay. J, move to eliminate annual allocation of the Roscommon Economic Development Committee, including partnership with Michigan Works, effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget savings of $33,500. Okay. M, move to eliminate the Roscommon County Geographic Information Services and Addressing Department, including director position, effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget reduction of $41,892. That's another tough one, but that really helps out 911, but unfortunately it's going to have to stay on there. And move to discontinue the Roscommon County Planning Commission, revoking all previous motions, resolutions, and/or ordinances related to the creation effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget reduction of $3,350. Item O, move to reduce the budgeted full-time information technology support position to part-time position effective December 31st, 2022. Estimated budget reduction of $57,358.60. P, move to eliminate the non-union retiree health benefits for all grandfathered, retired, and current employees effective June 30th, 2023. Estimated annual 2023 budget savings of $23,091.88 with long-term savings of $403,080.17. That one can be eliminated if everyone is in agreement with it. Budget and Finance recommends that be eliminated. Everybody on board with that?
Promises
sir.
kept.
So I'm gonna-
May.
I just want to add a caveat, two things. I want to back up to the IT position because I can see questions from some of our staff. What we currently have right now is we have a full-time director and a part-time person who volunteers a lot of time. So it'll stay exactly as is, basically.
Right.
Is how that looks at. We have it budgeted for if that part-time person were to retire,
which I think sometime they probably will want to, that we would be able to replace that with pay at the actual hours that that person works, but that's not going to be able to happen, which means essentially when that person retires, we will be looking at replacing it with 20 hours per week. So, and then I'm going to caveat back to the retiree health. You guys should have in your package a spreadsheet that shows like department services, changes to service, net cost savings. In looking at some areas that could potentially offset to continue to honor the promise of retiree health care. The two areas that came up last time, and then an additional one that I'm working on, the craft center portion that is juvenile detention would essentially be gifted or leased to the Northern Michigan Community Children's Assessment Center. They would be responsible for maintenance and utilities, which would be a savings of about $14,162.65. There's a little finagling we're going to have to do to make that happen. We will have to break our lease with Catholic Human Services and probably move emergency management down to where Catholic Human Services is. And then look at working out some sort of an agreement with the holdover room as well. But that's further down the line. So that's not a motion on there, but it would be one that would be added for you. The other is that I am working at a change in our medical examiners. So I am getting quotes looking for reduced costs for medical examiner services, essentially. And I'm anticipating that one way or another we'll get $20,000 cut from that budget. The second or the third portion of that, which I know everybody's going to be angry about, is a reduction of Travelage reimbursement mileage to 1/2 of the cost of IRS. That saves about $13,100 based on the budget. But those things allow you to retain that retiree health service and offset the cost needed to keep Sting, which individually you have all told me you wanted.
Correct. I was going to get to those three, but thank you anyway. You actually run them in there in the perfect time. So, all right. Does everybody understand those three?
So P is going to be removed.
E is going to be removed. Correct. Okay. Before I get into the other ones, because those are more or less standard ones here, but I'll back up. So C is being eliminated. G is being eliminated. H is being eliminated. P is being eliminated. Okay. And the additions will be lease the craft center to the Northern Michigan Children's Assessment District, which Jody just went over. A reduce in travel reimbursement mileage to 1/2, which will save $13,100, and a change in the medical examiner to we're getting some quotes on that for $20,000. So.
And on K, said the number changed to 94,000.
And that's, excuse me, you're right. And then K, the amount changed to $94,070.23 instead of $64, but it still remains on, okay? All right, just so I can finish up these motions. Q is move to institute the employee health insurance premium contributions for 2023 fiscal calendar year at 5% of the annual premium pre-taxed and based on the health insurance carriers and definition of plan types. Employees under labor contracts are not currently subject to premium contributions based on existing labor contracts. Rates are as follows. So it's 5%, same as it was last year, but our health insurance did increase. So a single will be bi-weekly $11.86. A two-person will be $28.46, and a family is $35.58. So R, move to authorize the allocation of $226,325 to the Central Michigan District Health Department for fiscal year 2023. That's our allocation from all 6 counties that we have to be paid. S, move to authorize appropriation of $6,194.45 to the airport fund for fiscal year 2023. B, move to authorize the appropriation of $57,425 to Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Authority for fiscal year 2023. You move to authorize appropriation of $124,404 to the Friend of the Court Fund for fiscal year 2023. B, move to authorize appropriation of $209,103 to the Michigan Indigent Defense Fund for fiscal year 2023. I wish that one wasn't there because that'd make this a whole lot easier. But gotta stay. W, move to freeze non-union wage scale and wages salaries of all non-union positions at the current 2022 approved rates for the fiscal year 2023. X, move to adopt the resolution 2022-1101, 2011 Public Act 152, Public Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act resolution for fiscal 2023. That one we do every year. I'm not going to read that. Okay with you, gentlemen? Okay. Y is moved to adopt the recommended soil erosion inspector, the following permitted rates for the fiscal year 2023, and I'm not going to run down those unless you want me to.
Nope.
Okay. That's the recommendations of budget and finance. Going forward with this budget. So when we take a look at this thing, we're still short $3,018 in balancing this budget. All the changes and the different motions that we've talked about today, I'm confident we can find $3,018. Right, David?
Yep.
Right, Jody? Yep. I think we can find $3,018. So we've got it down that far. So at this point, my budget and finance recommendation is that we put forth these motions for next week's meeting to be approved and for a public hearing.
I concur, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So there will be a few more motions that I will need to add that are appropriate to the budget. We currently have right now, Jake, we currently have right now Mr. serving temporarily as referee that we have not made permanent. I'm sorry, friend of the court referee that we have not made permanent yet. In addition to the one employee in front of the court who has been serving temporarily, is the oversight manager, et cetera. What's the official title, Judge? I can't keep all of these. I know. So when Tom passed away unexpectedly, you guys, we moved both of them into those positions. It actually ended up saving us about $10,000 to do that. But I do need to add those on because they are in the family court budgets. So I will need to add those on as two motions for you as well.
That doesn't affect the finances, basically.
Doesn't affect the
To save
finances.
$10,000, yeah. Right.
Technically.
And you're not supposed to. Yeah.
Now we have a friend of the court.
Right.
I'm still in your court. I have one more thing to add. So the other portion of that that doesn't affect the finances of the general fund budget is we have a probate family court clerk who now has had to take over the financials of the child care fund process because obviously Jake's got two jobs. And so we'll need to that has gone through wage and salary. It has come back at a grade 4. That difference in pay will actually come from the allocation that the child care fund gets annually for indirect costs. So you won't see any difference in that either, but that will need to be on there as well before Judge yells at me.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm with you. All right. So at this point, all commissioners are perfectly clear on all these budget motions with the additional 2 that Jody talked about. Will actually we'll have to craft motions also for the craft center lease, reduced travel mileage, and the medical examiner. All right. Like I say, we're within $3,018. I'm confident we can find that and balance the budget by next week.
So if you, I prepared a little something for you guys, just based on scuttlebutt and talk and things that I have heard. One of the questions that I keep hearing is why this year? What's happened? What's different? So I wanted to kind of give a little history lesson because I know I've warned you diligently every time you make a decision and Mark makes the comment. I know Jody's going to kick me, but over and over that we have not been able to, we will not be able to. There's going to come that period. Unfortunately, this is the year. I will tell you, I went through and have done historicals for the last 5 years when we've been talking. And I should add, it's not just me that has been preaching this. I know that our treasurer has, our equalization director has, every chance that they get. So just to give you a quick history lesson. So what's changed? For the last decade, the general fund for Roscommon County has been able to utilize portions of the tax payment fund to offset increased retirement payments, special projects, and lastly, to counterbalance increased costs of operating, which had the largest effects in 19 and 20. The COVID pandemic, of course, kicked us well into lost revenues. This has been a Band-Aid. We know this has been a Band-Aid to our shrinking revenue sources. 2022 is really this last budget season that the practice is able to continue. There's obviously court cases and statutory changes to delinquent property tax sales, obviously flat interest growth. So that's going to prohibit significant fund increases in the tax payment fund. Property taxes, which are only 51% of the overall revenues for the general fund, have risen 9.43% since 2019. This is actually despite a housing market that has increased slightly over 50% in the same time period. State revenue sharing, which should be funded on a per capita basis based on a percentage of state sales tax collected, has lagged well behind due to our state's actions that redirected portions of those funds to other purposes. While revenue sharing for 2023 is anticipated to be 2.8% above 2022, we are still going to be 5% below what we collected in 2019 and roughly 40% below the state's promise when they did the carve out in 2004. Port revenue due to state legislation has obviously decreased another $51,000 from 2022 for the 2023 budget. But the demand for services in our courts has risen throughout the last 5 years by 16%. As you are aware, fees and fines collected in the courts are allocated to several local government levels of government, not just county, through to the state and other statutes. There is a majority of that is distributed directly to the state. Despite the contribution from our courts services to the state for oversight, what they give to us every year has remained flat at $155,000. That is our help to run our courts. Collections of fees for costs of prosecution in both our district and circuit court have actually decreased 4%. Again, despite the statutory cases that allow for collections, it's very hard to collect from people that don't have money and that you can't find. Contributions from seizures as related to participation in Sting have decreased almost $60,000 since 2019. That had been used to offset our participation. Revenues in the Register of Deeds office have increased 17% due to that increase in housing sales. Again, still not exactly competitive with what you can sell a house for versus 2019. That's been offset by an increased need for staffing because obviously more work means more people. Retirement costs have risen 7% just from 2022. An anticipated budget increase based on market trends in our MERS annual actual evaluation comes in and shows us that trend on an annual basis. We know that this will continue to rise with MERS until about 2033, and then we'll flatten out. An anticipated budget increase with the large market crash in the mid-2000s, that unfunded liability grew significantly. That is despite transfers of $100,000 from the tax payment fund to go towards that unfunded liability.
Actually,
That's been since 2017 that we've been doing that.
right, but that's actually closer to $500,000 over the 5 years.
Correct.
And 100,000 a year we've been looking at. We didn't do it every year, but it's almost 500,000. That's made a difference on our retirement.
It has, we're at 80% now instead of after the crash when we were at
Or 80
71%.
or 82, whenever we are, yeah.
Obviously, then our health benefits, to which significant changes were made first in 2009 and then again in 2017, have risen 14% in overall premium costs. That accounts for about 198,000 of the shortage in 2023's budget. Bond reforms and COVID have decreased our overall jail population, decreasing housing revenues, which are historically hard to collect anyhow. The Roscommon County Jail began increasing federal prisoners. While this provides us with that guaranteed flat fee rate, it also increases the number of felony offenders that are housed within our facility. Bond reforms and COVID have decreased the people that we have that are misdemeanors. So think about that in your head. The jail has shifted from a majority of the misdemeanor offenders to a more dangerous population that includes severe drug addicts and mental health needs. This places a larger demand and need for staffing and training and increases personnel costs. Increases in expenses for the jail from 2022 to 2023 is $139,580.34. Other significant increases in expenses include the replacement of one of two servers, along with a storage array and required software, which I have been informed is a package deal. That increases our IT expenses by about $100,000. Capital improvement needs for the municipal complex for safety and major repairs, boiler replacement, electrical, to name a few, encompass roughly $90,000 of our increase. Those both are projects that we have refrained from for the last several years to offset potential service reductions. With the increase in demands for cybersecurity, technological upgrades, obviously what we give to the state, data that we share, information we need in a vast array of departments, we have to comply with their IT needs. These upgrades, expenses, the building continually needing repairs, that's a normal trend now. Our liability insurance is anticipated to rise from $170,000 to $205,000, with the dividend returns that we receive from that, $150,000 last year, $250,000 is our anticipated for 2023. There isn't another insurance carrier other than MMRMA every year that I ask for quotes that can even come close to what we currently pay. Trust me, I ask. And then obviously just the last couple things that we all harp on, the mandated contributions to our indigent defense have actually risen 5%. And then the allocation to the child care fund, which for anybody that doesn't know is that adjudicated youth, has increased 7%. So that is how over the course of the last decade, essentially, we have gotten to where we are today.
Well, that engine and defense didn't kick in until the last 2 or 3 years.
That's
Prior to that, we didn't have.
Dollars an hour.
Which is mandated.
So the state has mandated that.
But I mean, that's only kicked in, that's kicked in the last 2 or 3 years, right? We didn't, when did that go into part, Mark?
Well, we used to have a contract that was, had everybody locked in on felonies, 3 of them at $30-some thousand a year. So one attorney has the whole 3 felonies. They did. It has not been dollars per hour.
Yeah, but like I say, it wasn't there in 2017, but it's there now.
We were managing it very well for a lot of years.
Correct. Leave it at
But
that.
of course, that's a statewide thing. It doesn't matter. Of course, down the county.
Right, right. Okay, so that's a little synopsis. Thank you for that.
Healthcare fund, Came
That's
off the adult list and they are now. Process of
right, mandated.
mandate.
You're right. Okay, any further discussion in regards to the anticipated motions for next Wednesday from any commissioners at this time? Yes, Ken.
Well, I'd just like to single out Rebecca and thank her for the support she's given in the past for the management of the tax payment fund and the allowing the use of that to shore up these budgets in the past, but now she's not able to do that anymore. But and also a thank you. I just found out now when I asked the question that you're gonna have to take over the housing remnants and take care of that. That's gonna be an increased burden on your office. Probably pushed off on you, but thank you for taking that and accepting it and doing that job. Thank you, Rebecca.
Only thing that I'd like to add is because I've been here such a long time. And I've been on budget finance, seems like forever, which is fine. But you know, I've been one, everybody knows me. I've come back to the different departments a number of times and I've asked for an additional 5% and 10% over the years. Probably starting back around 2008, because I think that's when I was put on budget and finance. And I've had great cooperation from everybody. I want to thank everybody for that, you know, but it's not like, I only want to point that out as it's not like we haven't been doing something prior to this. We've been communicating, we've gotten cooperation, but you know, we're to the point now that, you know, you can't get blood out of a turnip, as they say. This kills me. But we have to have a balanced budget at the county, at the state, at the county, at the townships. We're not as fortunate as the federal government where we can just print some more money. So with that, anybody else have anything to add? Oh, wait a minute, make a motion for what?
The public comment.
Okay, all right, well, let me get back on target here. So at this point, number 7, there are no motions and resolutions. These will all be vetted and put to print for next week's meeting on the 9th at our regular meeting at 10 o'clock. Okay, so there are no motions for today, okay? Item 8 is public comment, please. Any public comment at this time, please, from anyone? I'm going to go to Jake first, Mark.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to official, but you got to come up now, okay? Now I'm going to,
I know this drill.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I just wanted to address one of the things that was added today, which was the reduction in the mileage rate. Obviously, one of the departments that's going to be hit hardest in that is mine with my juvenile probation officers. And I just want to make the commissioners aware that when we made the decision, or when the commissioners made the decision to close the juvenile detention center, it absolutely necessitated more travel for my juvenile probation officers. They are mandated to see the children once a week. If they're in a secure facility, they have to see them monthly. And when they used to be able to walk across the street to see some of their children in the juvenile detention center, now some of my juvenile probation officers are having to travel as far as Escanaba to see these same youth. And in the same sense, we have cut the juvenile detention center and are also telling them we're going to pay them half what they're usually paid for their mileage at the same instance. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that, that it's kind of a double-edged sword to sell to my staff when we cut the juvenile detention center, and then also say we have to travel further to service these kids, and then also their pay rate to service those kids is also being cut. So I just wanted to make the commissioners aware of where I was at with that. Thank you all.
All right, thank you for that comment. I'll keep that in consideration, and we still got a few little tweaks that we can possibly make, I'm hoping, in a positive vein. So, all right, thank you. All right,
I was going to ask if the commissioners.
turn your button on there, sir.
I have somebody do that for me in the courtroom. Debbie. One other thing I should mention for Rebecca also, I know that there's been court cases lately where we were able to collect funds through tax sale And court cases now have also reduced the ability to do that and interfered with that process. And there's been unlawful taking lawsuits brought that have probably reduced significantly your ability to collect on that too. So our ability to collect, again, interfered with by a state decision as to whether that is an appropriate taking of the property when people don't pay their taxes. The other thing, and I didn't get a chance to ask Jody, but does the budget that you're looking at now take into consideration the 3.3% inflation increase for property taxes?
Yes, it's based on the 2023, it's based on the equalization report for 2023.
Okay. And does it also take into account the uncapping of all the properties that were sold recently?
Yep.
Did you get the benefit of that yet?
That is in there. The benefit of that is $211,168.19.
I was just wondering if all of that had come into play yet, because I was hoping we might get a little benefit that might even cover the $3,000. So, other than that, that's all I was asking. And I understand, I've been an employee here since 2020, and I know that my position's usually been, well, assistant prosecutor for 2 years now as prosecutor, and then judge now. And I know that the employees, when I started here, it was traditional blue. And we have gone through every machination of insurance. And when we started, it was, you didn't pay a thing. And now there's contributions by the employees. There's no longer pensions. I know that the employees have also cut everything that they possibly can. And just so the public knows, it's not a high paying job. It's usually people took these jobs for the benefits. So I was glad to see that you guys did take the retirees between the 63, 65 off the table, because that could change a lot of people's lives and people that have already made a determination on when they were going to go. Matter of fact, we have 2 employees that halted their retirement process, one in my office, one in central filing, because they couldn't afford to leave. And so potentially we may find something there too, if we can hire someone in at a lower rate than what the 20-year employees are too. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Osterton, sir.
Thank you very much.
Last week, Tim O'Rourke was allowed to speak 10 minutes, and there was some back and forth regarding the budget. And there may be a little bit of that here, as I have a couple of questions I might be asking as Commissioner-elect. And I ask the indulgence of the chair with regards to time. We're all trying to balance the budget here, and I think I have some good ideas that should be explored. Mr. Chair, last week, you said you were going to consider offering employees payments in lieu of healthcare coverage, but I didn't hear anything this morning about that, so I'm going to bring it up again. I had a very informative meeting this last week with Jody Valentino and Noel Martin, and I learned a lot. Even though I'm not a commissioner yet, I feel that I can help with our current situation with regards to the budget. I was most interested in how we could reduce expenses in the healthcare premiums, which is a substantial part of our budget. I've had some experience with healthcare as I've sold healthcare insurance in my previous work life, and I personally had a lot of various healthcare coverages in my work life with various companies. And I think there are a lot of things we could do immediately to help our current shortfalls. If it isn't followed through on, I'll bring it up again next year when I become commissioner. And what I'm going to discuss should be a standard practice, even if we didn't have a budget crisis. We shouldn't be spending money we don't need to. Here's what I was told in my meeting that I had with Jody. We offer our county employees basically a Cadillac plan in lieu of more competitive wages. I don't have an argument with that, as I believe a lot of those who work for Roscommon County are underpaid. Our policy has a 5% deductible. Most other counties have a 20% deductible. Is that correct? Okay. We also have a health reserve account that paid $150,000 this past year towards the 5% deductibles we offer. Is that correct?
No, the healthcare savings account is to offset the large deductible plan that we have. So our employees don't pay deductibles.
Okay. So they don't pay any deductibles at all.
Correct.
So essentially what I'm saying is there aren't even a 5% deductible.
No, we pay a 5% premium plus whatever the copay
Yeah,
is.
they don't pay anything for health insurance then, essentially. Or I mean for healthcare, not insurance.
They pay the 5% of the
5%.
monthly premium and then whatever the copay is, correct?
Okay, those that have a family plan cost the county about $18,500 a year. Those that have a 2-member household cost the county about $14,800 a year. And those that have single coverage cost the county about $6,170 a year. Is that correct? Okay. I also understand that we used to offer employees 1/3 cash in lieu of what we paid towards their health insurance if they opted out of their coverage. And they were covered by a significant other. Is that correct? Okay. I don't know if cash in lieu of insurance is income tax free or not, or FICA free, is it?
If you do it correctly, yes, otherwise it has to be.
Okay, so essentially that would be tax-free money coming back to the employee.
It is, and I don't have it. But it comes actually in their paycheck, so you pay.
You pay FICA on it.
Yes.
They pay FICA. Okay, that's no problem. But they don't have to pay income tax on it.
Yes, they do.
So it's not tax-free.
No.
The money that they would get back that you pay. Okay. I also understand that the program was discontinued 7 years ago and only 7 people are still on the program as they were grandfathered in. And I also understand that the third cash amount was capped at the old rates. In other words, the amounts that are paid to employees in lieu of having us pay for their insurance can never go up, even though the amount we save goes up. Is that correct?
We're talking about non-union, right?
The third that you cap, it can't go up.
So
At the old rates, $1,000.
everyone, the 7 people that still have it now is capped, correct?
Okay. And I think it's time that we reinstated this program with a better program to help balance our budget. Instead of offering 1/3 of what it costs us to be covered, we should offer half or even 60% of what it would cost us to cap if our premiums go up, if the premiums go up. After all, if we can keep an employee off our insurance rolls, it saves us money, and there needs to be an incentive for employees to do so. As employers, we need to be fiscally responsible. A penny saved is a penny earned. It is better to have 50% of something as opposed to 100% of nothing. And we have 100% of nothing if all of our employees take advantage of our health insurance. If they can get coverage elsewhere, we would save 50% of what that would cost us. Please look at the illustrations. For the audience, here is the savings that we would realize if we provided 50% payouts in lieu of healthcare benefits. I think there would be even more participation if we offered 60%, but that's up to the board. Here's the numbers. Right now we have 7. If we got to 9, it would be a break even because the amount would go up. If we got to 15, we'd save $111,000. 25 employees, $185,000. If we got to 30 employees, which is only 1/5 of our employees, it would go up to $222,000. 40 employees, $296. 50 employees, $370. 60 employees, $444, and 70 employees, $518,000. We need to find out though, how many people of our employees are on single, dual, or family, and I'm sure Jody could find that out. And that's why I just selected the dual plan for illustrative purposes. The savings I outlined in the projections I passed out do not include the savings in the health reserve account. That would also be saved. The only way we can find out if employees would be interested in taking advantage of that program is to send out an email and ask them all, say, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And then providing that information to the commissioners, because Jody tells me, you guys are the ones that make the decision. It's not her. So you have to take these facts and do something with them. and be proactive. Thank you very much. I think it's worth considering.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. Other comments, Vanessa?
Thank you. In response to Mr. Ostergren, one question, I guess as a follow-up, would be if our rates from priority would be impacted depending upon the number of people we actually had insured.
They can, yes. The big thing is, and obviously Noel deals with this much more than I do because that's her job. But your grouped rates are based on your number of participants. So if we drop below 100 participants, we go into what they call small plan pricing, which is individual based on age, health, history, that type of thing. The only way to find out for sure is to have the department heads ask. So,
thank you.
Okay. Michelle?
Okay, so just a couple of things. One of the things that I had been thinking about since the motion, last week regarding hazardous waste and reaching out to the townships. Another idea was like, I took this back to my office and is like, why couldn't we start asking the people that utilize that service to pay $20 to come in and drop off their stuff as a way to offset some of the costs? That was just a suggestion because I know I'd be willing to pay $20 to offload a bunch of the stuff, that electronic stuff, et cetera, et cetera. As far as the increase in work in the Register of Deeds office has not led to an increase of staff. I still have, well, not currently, but I'm working on getting back to the 5 people that I've had since the day I walked into office. It's been 5 people. And when I came into office, I had 3 staff in the Register of Deeds office and 2 in the county clerk's office. So over the 10 years that I've been here, I've had to go back and forth as to, okay, work is increased here, so I need the help here. So at one point, when I had a retiree in Register of Deeds, I moved to 2 people in Register of Deeds office, 3 on the clerk side. Then work increased in Register of Deeds. So then I've had to bounce back and forth to where now I'm fortunate when I can get somebody that can be cross-trained to do both, that can cover both jobs. And we were doing all of that with the same 5 people for 10 years, not the same, but 5 staff. Plus we took on assisting with the soil erosion paperwork. With the leaving of Carrie, that has now gone to someone else. And one of the things that is very evident is I lost a very, very good employee because of money. There's no way she was going to ever make more money here, especially with situations like this. And I just told her once we started with the budget talks, I said, you picked a good time to go to the private sector because you're going to make a heck of a lot more money there. So, and I understand that when you're in government, you're not in it for financial wealth. That's not the case at all. But just know that the people that you have here work their butts off. And so, and that's more for the public because I know the people that are here every day in and out know what's going on here and know how much work we're doing. So, and I will say that I appreciate Jody giving us that history. She didn't mention was it 5 or 6 years ago when we had that meeting with the strategic plan. And, this was something that was brought up then. And there was the, I can't even say half-hearted effort at that time to get the youth millage and was it economic development millage that we're trying to pass at that time. So, and then nothing else came of it until this year. And then we're trying to do the millages this year. So I feel like a lot more could have been done a lot sooner. And I've sat here in these meetings and listened, and I've heard it been preached lots of times. And, these programs, the unfunded mandates that we get from the state, that's unfortunate for everybody because it's not just us, but it's definitely impacting the rural communities very hard. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Any other public comment at this time, please? Shaking your head, no. Okay, item number 7, adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Keep Mr.